Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This week we have Chris Harvey from Penn Social Sports. Very interesting business model, and actually Tyler has connected us. So welcome to the show. I'm very excited to learn a little bit more about what Penn Social Sports does. I've learned a little bit from Tyler, but I'm sure you have a more in-depth explanation and a cool story that goes with it. So
sure, walk
us through kind of how you started and what you are.
I would say like 10 years ago, living in Baltimore City. For some reason, I've always had this entrepreneurial itch. I always would have a second job at bartender while I had a full-time career, and I started working for a company called Kickball League of Baltimore.
Okay.
Turns out this guy and this lady, they owned multiple kickball leagues throughout the country. And in Baltimore at the time, it was blowing up. We were upwards of 250 teams of 16 people per season or per year, and multiply that by, $40, $50 a head. It was a full-time gig for these people. At the time, my life was changing a little bit. I was moving up here to Central PA, getting married, having kids, stuff like that. And at the time, another company came in and pretty much flooded the market with every other sport. And while we were a one-trick pony, they were offering everything. And so I saw an opportunity.
That came into the Baltimore area?
Came in the Baltimore area called Volo City. And so they offered sailing at one point. They turned anything into a social sport, social sport environment. And that was a little bit of the downfall of kickball in Baltimore. It's still there, not nearly as big as it used to be. But as I was moving up here, I said, there's this opportunity for these smaller sports that don't take up a lot of resources. They don't take up a lot of space. And it's
big fields, things like that.
Yeah, because with kickball, it was umpire fees. You had to have teams of 16, 12 to 16 people. Somebody was blown a knee out or an Achilles every week. That
many people, I'm sure there's always an injury.
Yeah. So I was, drink in hand, beer in hand, no sweat. I called them no sweat sports.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that up here with me. And that's when we started Penn Social Sports. I remember sitting down with a friend and developing the artwork for the logo and launching. Had a few mishaps right in the beginning. Like we tried to run it alongside of the Kickball League that used to play here on the West Shore that was owned by us, but I wasn't involved in that. And that didn't work. And then finally, my first location was Evergreen in 2018. And it's just taken off from there.
And that was with cornhole?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did a cornhole league?
So a few things that make us different from what you typically see, whether it be on TV or, at tournaments you see, at hotels. It's league only, so we don't really dive into tournaments too much. We might be getting into that here pretty soon. Side note, I have a client that wants us to do tournaments, and they're not a venue that would work for leagues.
Okay.
It's like a wedding venue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's like, well, we could probably do tournaments. So
it'd be like a one-off weekend.
Yeah, I don't tend to say no to people when it comes to like, hey, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of that? And I
figure out a way to make it work.
But anyway, so I targeted breweries. I have this love for craft beer, always have, was a home brewer for 10 years. If I didn't have a, full-time job with wife and 2 kids, I would have been a professional brewer a long time ago. But breweries always have space, and they always have people that are looking for things to do. So we started with Evergreen, and we grew from there.
And they're always looking for ways to bring people into their space.
So a lot of times when I'm looking at a city, I look for a brewery that, has big space, and they might have a trivia night or a bingo night. And so I'm looking for that night where they're not doing anything to drive business, or the night that they're not open. So they might be open Wednesdays through Sunday. And I'm like, okay, you don't have anything going on Tuesday. You're not open on Tuesday. What do you think about opening the place up for a few hours on Tuesday night if I'm going to drive business in?
Yeah, limited staff just to run the bar or whatever, and then you'll handle the leagues.
And unlike things like bingo or trivia, we don't charge the venue. We it's more of a quid pro quo or like handshake deal where you provide us with the space, we will provide you with the people.
And they're liking that too, because it's no cost to them.
No cost to them, no risk to them other than staffing.
And it's a sport that, well, like you said, no sweat sports.
Yeah.
It's which is a cool way to term that. But it's sports that like literally anyone can do. They can get a drink, or not get a drink, whatever. But we have play whatever they want.
Kids right out of college, 22 years old upwards. I have a team that plays every winter. They only play in the winter because they're all retired and they all golf the rest of the year. So they play cornhole in our league in winter.
It's all ages, all abilities.
All ages, all abilities. We require 4 people per team so that, it creates a social environment. Because really the driving force behind this is just to have fun, be social. Like it's plastered all over our website.
Right.
Like, this is a social experience. And when teams get a little too competitive, that's when I come in. I might not be the person running it that night, but I might have a conversation with them the next day. Like,
I'm sure with any... So I spent a lot of time when I was younger in the hockey industry. Like just my dad was managing a hockey rink and like through my teenage years. And anytime you're getting adults around anything that could be minorly competitive, even at the lowest level, there's always some attitude or someone comes in. Not everybody, but there's always a person or something that you have to kind of settle down.
I remember being that jerk in middle school, reverse dodgeball or whatever, reverse mat ball we would play in middle school or high school. The competitive nature happens everywhere. And we have no problem with people being competitive. It's just when they take a turn for...
It's no longer fun, man. Yeah. Okay, so kind of walk me through basically the mission of the actual Penn Social Sports.
I truly think that social sports are a great way, especially in a city where you're new. So I've driven people through that before where they're like, oh, I'm moving to so-and-so, and I would look it up. Okay, hey, this social sports league exists. Sign up as a free agent, get involved, play some different sports. Like this is how you develop.
Someone's always looking for somebody to play. And this is how you develop relationships. And if you don't like the people that were on that team, play a different sport the next time. Yeah.
Or play on a different team the next time. Just talk to the organizers. It is truly the easiest way to meet new people in the city when you move somewhere and you don't know anyone.
You're forcing yourself to talk to them. Yeah.
I mean, there's companies out there like mine that offer card games. They offer everything,
Is there a big network nationwide of like these social sports groups in different cities?
Yeah, it's called the SSIA, Social Sports Industry of America.
There's like an industry or a network, by the way, for every niche you can think of.
These guys have a annual meeting, like a conference, every other year. Every other year it's in America and it's in Mexico. So like it's in, Cozumel, Mexico one year, and then it's Kansas City the next. I think next year it's in Vegas.
Okay.
And they were just in like Puerto Vallarta or something like that. I have not been to this conference yet, but it's on the bucket list.
Yeah.
But no, I just think it's a great way for people to meet.
Yeah.
And like I said, Toby and Tyler, my buddies that helped me with this, they push me to grow, and I go at the speed of peanut butter. Like I want something to stick, and then as it sticks, we grow. So we've gone from, one location, we're now up to 6 locations.
Okay.
And COVID took a toll on that. We were rocking and rolling in 2020, adding more sports. We had a successful bocce league. We were starting a skee ball league because Evergreen brought in a few games. Like I remember somebody saying, "What are we going to do? This is right where we play." I'm like, "Well, we're going to move about 10 feet, and then we're going to create a league out of it." And we had it. I remember having to refund 8 teams their money because of COVID. And so,
I mean, that just, it chops you off the knees.
Yeah. And it did. So the minute we kind of got the green light to start up again, we started back with Evergreen, and then we slowly added back in. So we're at Evergreen Brewing. We're at Evil Genius in Fishtown. We're at ABC Brewing in Mechanicsburg, Appalachian Brewing Company. We're at Blue Sky Tavern. We're at a place called Pools Island in Maryland, like in White Marsh, Maryland. And a lot of these were just born out of relationships I had with people. I was getting on a plane to go to the Great American Beer Fest before COVID, and I ran into Luke and Trevor, who are the guys that own Evil Genius, and we were having breakfast beers in the airport. I was like, "Hey guys, I'm starting this thing. What would you think?" And they're like, "We have a beer garden. We just opened up our brick and mortar tap room." And so we've had a league there since.
Okay. And then are all the leagues run by... I mean, you guys are obviously at the top running all of that, but you have individual people running.
I do, yeah. So because I can't be everywhere all at once,
right?
We call with kickball, we used to call them field leaders. I still kind of refer to them as field leaders, but basically they're babysitters. They monitors. I don't know. I'm going to come up with a better term for it, but basically they're the people that are there. They're playing in the league. A lot of times it's somebody that's playing the league and they're just collecting scores, and I pay them to collect scores and hand them off to me.
Okay.
And then even the one, like, I play in Evergreen with my buddies. And so I have somebody that runs it because I don't want to have to deal with that. Like,
right. You're trying to...
I'm there on night one handing out
You're almost a customer of your own business that day. Yeah.
Well, except for the one season where we won the league, and so all my friends started calling me Putin.
Oh, no. They're like, well, you made this. You set it up.
You just won the thing you own? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. You can only do that once.
I haven't won since. Even
you have to, you have to make sure, though, you tell your friends, like, I'm really not trying to throw this.
Right.
Game, but I don't want to win my league.
Not from like my $150 in gift cards. Like we're not giving out cash or anything.
Right.
So like part of the thing, and having been in the business of like advertising and marketing, like ROI, return on investment's huge. Mm-hmm. So for any company, so we do gift cards because it doesn't really cost a brewery anything to do gift cards. 65% or 35% of gift cards are not redeemed. So like they're giving away free money that's eventually not going to get used by certain people. Somebody that played in the league once, they don't go back to the place because they don't like the place, and then you might get a customer that stays.
They come back. Yeah.
So that same team of older guys that golf year round, they started coming in drinking Pilsners because they didn't know any better, and now they're like down in double IPAs and stuff like that. Like just they grew into their love of craft beer because of the league.
Yeah, all because they played some cornhole games.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So we're bringing back bocce. We're bringing back skee ball.
So how's it? I can understand how cornhole works. How does a skee ball league work?
The machines are just on. Yeah. Right. So unlimited.
Yeah. You're not feeding.
Yeah. And just it's scored. So basically 3-person team. Everyone rolls 3 games. And the scores are cumulative against the team that you're playing. Huh. So. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'll create a league out of anything.
Yeah, that's like
rock paper.
I would have never thought that could be.
So
it'd be there'd be a lot of like no overhead. Cheaper. Yeah. And then, do you have any plans for other sports like that you've always wanted to get started in the area? Or?
So these two are the ones that we're pushing right now.
Bocce and
bocce. Yeah. So skee ball down at Wild Rabbit in Lemoyne, and bocce right there at Evergreen, just on a different night.
Is it the bocce? It's not the bocce like people play in their yard.
It's more that than. So I set up cones.
Okay.
We did this. We had 2 seasons of successful bocce. So I know that we have the formula for something that'll work.
Okay.
And it's cones where you have a box you stand in, and then you throw the paleo or whatever it's called, and then the bocce goes out to it. So we have cones that kind of line up the court.
Gotcha.
As opposed to going to someplace like Soldier and Sailor courts in Mechanicsburg, where then you're taking away from somebody else's free enjoyment.
Right.
So...
but it's the bocce where you go back and forth.
Yeah.
Like a traditional bocce, not the kind where people play in their yard where it's like freestyle where you kind of just throw.
Correct. You're still all focused in on that one element and scoring based off that one element.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
bocce is weird because I know like if you ask my family how we play it in our yard, it's just the kids just chuck it across the yard randomly and you go to that. But I know there's like a more traditional version of that.
Yeah. And, in the age of Google, you can look up anything. So there's rules out there that can be tailored to anything. So,
yeah. So you already kind of said like one growing pain basically was COVID, but that's an easy one for everyone because COVID was like, it affected everything, everyone, families, businesses, everything. But kind of through this process, you've been doing this now for about a decade, you said?
Yeah.
Off and on between Baltimore and here. And what do you think were some lessons you've learned so far that were interesting that you didn't think would like be something that was like a roadblock or like hitting a wall as far as growing social sports?
Our biggest challenge, it's not even finding somewhere that wants to do it. Like that's easy. There's this blend, I guess is the best way to put it. There's some elements that you got to put together for a successful league. You have to have vibes. So you have to have a place like Evergreen. I'm going to keep going back to that.
It's a place where people want to go.
Poster child for that. I've had other locations where like it's boring. Like, and you know, so it kind of fizzles out.
Feels like dry or there's no character.
Correct. You know, I've had people say, "Oh, why don't you do it like a fire hall?" I'm like, well, then you don't get foot traffic. You're not meeting somebody. You might not be meeting your future spouse there. Like, you could meet your future spouse there just by playing in the league against somebody or out one night. You know, there's just so many random things that can happen. So we like to have that environment. So having the right environment, having it in a place where there's enough population, but not too much population. So like you want to be kind of, because this has been done before, right? Like there are these huge social sport companies, Heyday Sports in Philadelphia, Volo in Baltimore, Volo in DC, Volo in Denver. So you can now see why we kind of like lost out to them, is because they came in with an infrastructure.
Right. Well, and they're coming in with budget that's
and crazy. A budget and staff.
They're buying sailboats.
Yeah. I think they had a staff of like 6 people when they came in. So there you're just another, you know, add-on sport. So it's hard to like really drum up business that way. So this really works in the suburbs. It really works in the commuting suburbs of places. And that's
Camp Hills, Mechanicsburg.
Yeah. So that's why we target those kind of places. I had an extremely successful league outside of Philadelphia. And this goes into one of the other pains of this, is that I had 28 teams that filled out in like 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Over 150 people, beautiful setup. I'm not going to name the place because I don't want to talk bad about them, but they saw what we were doing. They're like, we could do this. And so, you know, they cut the middleman out. So
they just made the road.
Everything I have is a handshake deal. It's just not worth putting the effort into. I'm not going to involve lawyers and stuff like that.
Yeah, make contracts for space to play.
There are places like Appalachian Brewing and Evergreen that see our value and that they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, they don't have to manage any of it.
Even the owner of Evil Genius said, "Don't think I haven't thought about it." He goes, "But I just don't want to deal with it." So we like the product that you put out, and it brings people in. So.
And that's long term. You're going to want to deal with someone that way anyways, versus the person who's maybe looking to see if it works and then cut you out of it. Like you can tell, and you can tell the difference with people, even when we're working, anyone in business or just any relationship, when you're working with someone and they're like, I think they're going to use this.
Like you can feel that right away. Right from the beginning. I had a bad vibe.
Yeah. But then when you meet someone who's not, and they're just like, listen, we love it, go. Like you can tell the difference when you meet them, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there might be other places that like, this just doesn't work for us. Like you're in the way of customers. We're one of our very early on leagues was on the top of like a green turtle down in Baltimore. We were on the roof deck in Towson. So like bag would go over the roof. Customers are trying to eat next to us. Like
flying down over the dinner.
Wasn't the right environment.
Right.
So.
And you don't want to make customers mad.
Right.
That aren't part of the league.
Yeah. You want to make customers out of your league players. So.
Right. Or the other way around. And you want to have customers there going, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And they get information on it. Like,
exactly.
I'm sure that happens quite a bit too, where someone's at Evergreen and they're like, what's going on?
Yeah. I've had locations that we've walked away from that will also remain nameless, where the relationship soured because, you know, beer was too expensive, food was too expensive. It wasn't really the right environment for it.
Right.
My players didn't want to be there anymore.
Your customer base, it wasn't, they weren't the right market for that.
Yeah. Which is weird because my customer base is everyone. Like it's not, you know.
You still have it's everyone, but you still probably you're dealing with a large general population that you'll take anyone, but there's still like in every base of customers or every population, even if you have 150 people in a league, there's still a median that's like, this is too expensive for them, or this is not, it's going to happen in every group of people.
Yeah. Like I want to take that Philly suburb league and replicate that at a place that wants us to be there and have long-term lasting impact.
Yeah.
Cause the secret is in that sauce, whatever that was, whatever made that happen. So, you know, just depends on location.
Yeah.
So I've seen some beautiful breweries and locations, but they're in the middle of nowhere.
It just won't work. Yeah. No one's driving 30 minutes out of their way.
Yeah. So,
the one thing you said that was interesting was, like someone could meet their future spouse there and then my brain started spinning with that. Like, what you're doing could be deeper than what even just creating connections, like, or just getting people new to an area, introduced to people. Like there are probably people talking about business there. There's people talking about whatever. Like there's a lot of potential change in a community, even just by getting those social people together in a setting like that.
Yeah, like we just launched, even though we're pretty small still, we just launched a sponsorship program. And because I come from this marketing and advertising background, like I want that client to have a return on their investment. I know that some of these companies are just going to throw money at us because it's like
That's what they do.
byline.
Yeah.
Like it's a tax write-off for them.
There's a lot of companies that have budget too to just listen. We got to spend it, and we're going to burn it,
or we're going to get taxed on it. But for example, like I have a guy who plays in my league who's a mortgage lender, and it's for somebody like that, it's all their money.
Right.
So if they're going to drop a certain amount of money on a sponsorship with us, I'm going to make sure that they get somebody to close their house on with him before I end that sponsorship.
Well, and he's playing in it.
Yeah.
So then he's going to talk to some people. Like he's probably gotten value out of it anyways, just talking with people at those nights.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So for other business people locally, it's probably valuable just not to always go sell, but just to be around them.
As I've told Toby, like I want the plumber that it's looking for business, and he's going to be the only plumber on the back of our shirt. Like I'm not going to have three of them. Right. I want the CPA. I want the lawyer. I want people that are going to have a tangible product out of this, as opposed to if I threw Hershey on the back of my shirt, sure, I'll take your money.
But they're not going to see a difference.
You're not going to. This is nothing to you. Like,
right. Yeah.
Bobby Ray Hall. They're on the back of every kid's soccer shirt.
Right. Insert big brand here.
Yeah.
They're not going to see as big of an impact. For a community-based sponsorship as a small private practice something or like you said, like a CPA or something like that.
Yeah, like my neighbor just started a foot and ankle clinic. He was a surgeon for one of the big boys, and now I could see him getting value out of it.
But he got one patient. It's worth a couple hundred to spend on whatever. Yeah. You've alluded a couple times. We don't have to go into it too much, but let's talk about you as well. Like you had a background in marketing, which is interesting to us because obviously we all do marketing. So how do you tie that into that?
I went to school. I remember going to school to become a physical therapist. I was going to do a 3-2 program from...
This is right out of high school. Like this is
right out of high school. I was going to do a 3-2 program with Elizabethtown and Thomas Jefferson. A D in freshman biology changed that. So I got a degree in psychology. I was going to go to school to become a guidance counselor, get my master's. That didn't work out. Ended up in sales. So I was in sales this, sales that, marketing, advertising. So I just kind of jumped around. I was in pharmaceutical sales for a while. And when I got laid off, I had the opportunity to interview with the government. And so now I work for the government as an investigator during the day. So by day, I'm an investigator. And at night, I own a social sports league.
That's a wild, you had a wild ride there for a little while.
Yeah.
And then obviously probably everything you've done up to this with your social sports league, you probably also get to employ those skills and all of that. So we were talking just yesterday, one of our interviews was, it didn't go up yet, did it? Okay. So, Potato Coop.
Yeah.
We had them on and he was talking about basically like the skills you learn in school versus the skills you learn, and you have to listen to that to get that message, but better than I'll tell you again. But basically, when he was coming out of high school, he was like, listen, I could either go to college, insane debt, do whatever, or I could do this on my own and just learn the hard and fast way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you've had a different track than that as well, but probably similar along the lines of, though, you're building a business with skills that you didn't necessarily learn through college or whatever, but you learn along the way through all this accumulation of life experiences.
But I do think that having lived on my own at college and had to form relationships and grow, there's a place for going away to college, right?
No, I didn't mean
I know that. But like by that, I was able to be this person that will talk to anyone, that will walk right up to a brewer or brewery owner or venue owner and say, hey, I think this is a great idea. What do you think?
What I meant by that was like your entrepreneurial spirit is something that you probably have had in you since before you even decided what you wanted to do, or the first time you thought you knew what you needed to do. Just because it sounds like your personality is more like where there's a problem, even if something you have going on, like I'm just going to change my path to figure out how to get around that problem. Because it sounds like you've bounced off a couple walls to get where you're at, but that's something you only learn by just doing it. So Very interesting.
Absolutely.
I love hearing stories about that, because it's like where people are when we interview them isn't always where they're going to finish. It's not the end of the line,
Right.
but it's never been where they thought they were going to be at on their journey.
Yeah. If I ever got to the point where I was like, all right, I've had enough of this, I would then empower somebody. I wouldn't walk away. I would just go sit in the shadows.
Yeah.
I would empower somebody to take over and take care of it, and I would take a smaller cut as I go on to my next.
Yeah, you would draw down, but then obviously replace yourself, train someone else up in that.
Yeah.
In the organization.
Yeah. Or my kids one day, like
you never know.
Be theirs after college.
Yeah.
And it'll be a good way for them to make money while they pursue their dreams.
Yeah. Or your kids will just say, Dad, I have no interest in that. Yeah, I mean, so you have kids?
Yeah. My 11-year-old wants me to start a kids division.
Oh, okay.
Like, I got to look into the legalities of that.
That gets a little,
maybe a parent and child league
I mean, there's enough like the soccer shots and organizations like that, but I think I don't know, because it's not my thing.
Bocce,
But your liability with that is probably.
I mean, we carry insurance, but like it would be
a little bit
liability.
saltier.
What they would have to write out, it's one of those things where I have the time and energy to put into something.
Then you got to worry about parents, and like I said, I grew up from like age 12 till through college. I was like at a hockey rink, so like.
Yeah.
Then you got to deal with parents, and if you ever seen angry parents, and they're not all the parents, but there's always some of them.
As you look on that social sports directory, I have not clicked on a single place that had like a for-profit kids division.
Yeah,
like they might throw some youth sports out there, but it's usually like their charitable arm of the venture. But I'm not nearly big enough to have a charitable arm of my division. We do have a charitable sponsor, like we have Noir. The coffee shop next to everybody.
Oh yeah, they're great.
We have them on the back of our shirts and on our website, just as a simple, hey,
like an awareness,
just an awareness kind of thing. And I'll switch that up year in and year out.
Okay. You'll switch up the charitable sponsor.
Yeah, the charitable sponsor, because we're not asking anything off of them.
Oh, okay.
Besides their logo and permission to.
So you just reach out to a new one each year. Hey, no cost to you guys. If you like to be on our shirts.
The life cycle of the shirt is like about a year. People reuse their shirts a little bit, so. Going into 2025, I'll reach out to another charitable sponsor just to say.
Well, and they love that too. I mean, you're giving them something where typically an organization like that has to really watch their spend.
Yeah.
So especially a smaller local one.
Small local ones, not. And
not doing the why.
Yeah, exactly. Small and local ones, not, St. Jude's doesn't need to be on the back of my 300 shirt.
Right. It's similar to your corporate sponsors where like to them that, I don't know what the value of it is. Say it's $400, $300. To them, that St. Jude's is not going to really, not that they wouldn't benefit from it, but they're not going to see a dent with that. A local place like Noir or a local food bank or something is going to see a massive difference if they got 4 people to recognize them.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
No, that's awesome. I think that's a great thing, and I think a lot of organizations could take an example of that. Like, you don't have to sell the whole shirt. Maybe you do one piece of that shirt, like whatever, the local midget football club.
Right.
Do something that's you guys are also a nonprofit,
the cost
but
to
do
me
something
is so negligible compared to the rest of
it's a community thing.
Giving. Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you think the most rewarding thing, whether it's seeing the connections made or just you're having fun, like you go to a night, cornhole league night. What do you think when you're there? Not necessarily like of the business itself, but day of when you're at an event. What's the best part about that?
It's somewhat like it's hard to put something on that, right?
Okay.
So like to see it is great. Like to see new friendships form. Mm-hmm. I'm sure somewhere along the line I'm going to cause a marriage, right? Like just because these two people met each other and started dating through it. Stuff like that. To see the venue be rewarded in that they're not going to close. We're in a world right now where I feel like there's a brewery that closes every week.
It feels like the news every week. There's a brewery locally.
And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I won't name them, but they don't have that vibe. If they they're not putting out stellar beer and also have an environment that you want to be at. Mm-hmm. Because that person's just going to go buy a 4-pack and go home.
So this is not the brewery podcast, but I have a question. Right. Do you think that part of that is, it's quality and environment? But B, do you think it's the other side of it is that we've seen an explosion so fast of like everyone and their mother has a microbrewery? It seems like that for a while.
We've taken about 3 or 4 steps in that direction, but
Okay.
I also think that the rise of canned cocktails and the liquor side of it is really hurt the brewery side of it.
Gotcha. So there's more than one thing at play.
Yeah.
I just feel like in like the last 8 to 10 years, it's just like ballooned, and it felt like for a while it was an unsustainable growth of new breweries,
Right.
and there's like a competition or a saturation.
Well, think
level.
about it. It's no different than owning a restaurant, and they say like 70% of restaurants fail after a few years.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's the same concept.
Yeah, I mean it's food and beverage industry. Yeah. Okay. I just was wondering. I know you're not a brewery owner, but I know you're in that scene a little bit more. So I didn't know if you had an insight. But it is true. Like this every week.
But even from my perspective, like, let's say I'm sitting at 10 locations that are very successful, going well. If I had a competitor come in and try to take some of that business, I don't think necessarily I'd lose those 10 locations, but I don't think I would grow beyond that if other company comes in and start establishing their footprint. Because I do think that there is room for growth within the area itself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because we do have a successful league on Wednesday nights in Mechanicsburg. So like, it's not that we've saturated the teams, but there are things that go into planning. I've tried and failed putting together Monday night leagues. Like,
gotcha.
Nobody wants to go out.
So Monday nights are. I'm sure it's Mondays.
When everyone's reinventing themselves. They're cooking themselves dinner. They're weighing their food. They're not drinking, and then Tuesday hits, and that's all gone.
I feel like Monday and anything weekend is shot.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So, how do people find? Obviously, you have your website, but like I'm new to the area.
Yeah.
How do I get involved? What's the best way to reach out to get involved with Penn Social Sports?
So it's as simple as our social media stuff. So you can just Penn Social Sports, PennSocialSports.com. Right now, as we're ramping up for our fall seasons, if you walk into any of these venues, there'll be a poster there with a QR code that they can scan to see how to sign up.
What venues are you at again? We're
now? At Evergreen, Appalachian Brewing Company in Mechanicsburg. That's right next to the Tesla dealership. We are at Blue Sky Tavern down in Edders on Thursday nights.
Okay.
So that's our like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we'll be at Wild Rabbit on Wednesdays for skee ball. We'll be back at Evergreen on Wednesdays for bocce. And then we have some satellite leagues, which is like out in Philly.
A little farther away.
Yeah, down in White Marsh.
Gotcha.
And like I said, those were ones that were just built off relationships, and they worked, and people signed up, and so
they stuck.
It stuck.
Okay. So when's you can't join mid league. You can, or you can join.
So like now is the perfect time. Because we start in the fall.
Oh, so there's a few weeks.
Yep. And I take teams up until like the week before if we're full. Just because, why not?
Yeah.
So it's easy. The schedule's easy to fix and manipulate. So
you can always add
I've gotten it down to a science with like I pick up shirts down at Alpha Broder in Lewisberry. I have like a press at home like you see on the Jersey Shore. I have my logos. I have like a stack of logos that I buy in bulk, and it just press.
Is it the Transfer Express logos?
It's basically they are transfers. Yeah, basically one color transfers. Super simple.
We used to do those for to bring up the rink, the hockey tournaments. You would just sit there all day and just in front of that steamy.
I used to have like a cricket one where I was like pushing it and like sweating as I'm doing it. This one now I just press a button.
Oh, it's automatic.
Close it on the shirt. Let's go. The shirt comes out. It's done. So
can't beat that.
I do a lot of my own shirts just because it's time to kill at night when I'm watching TV or something like that, and I just save myself a lot of money. But going to a screen,
it's mindless work too. Like you can just
and not just that. Like I understand screen printed shirts last longer, but nobody really cares if their shirt lasts long in this situation. I have teams that can do shirts every single season, and they're playing with me 3 times a year.
Yeah, and then it just becomes. Yeah. After a year or two, it's a cutoff shirt. It's a yard shirt. They probably still wear them.
Yeah. I've upgraded the quality. I don't use like Gildan anymore. Like I use better, like next level, like brewery type T-shirts.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Just because the fit and feel is better.
Yeah.
But I'm not using heavy cotton anymore.
Right. So run us down through like the basics of a league. So I want to join a cornhole league.
Yeah.
I can go to the website, obviously.
Go to the
like
website. We do have a page for I have put like independent people on.
What's a cost per person basically?
$50.
Okay.
On average, $50. It's $50. It's $50 a person. It gets you the league, the shirt. And I've only increased my cost once.
And then that's the whole league. How many weeks?
That's
is
per
league?
Person.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. There's no team discount. It's just per person flat.
Yeah. So then the league usually they go 7 weeks plus playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Everyone makes playoffs. At Evergreen, we have a division. We have varsity and JV because we've been there so long that we have teams that want to be competitive and we have teams that don't want to be competitive. So.
Gotcha. Do you have some that jump?
So what we do is we treat it like English Premier Soccer.
Okay.
So if you're at the bottom of the top league,
you got to go down.
You have the option to come down.
Oh, okay.
Because they want the competitiveness so they can stay up there. But if you win the JV league, you have to move up.
Oh, okay. So if you blow it out of the water in the JV league, you force them to go up. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. But that's the only location we really do that at. Because every location is different. Like, this is the perfect blend. I have places where it's like super competitive in general.
Yeah.
And then I have places where like it's a party because it's like they're putting like 6-7 people on the team. Somebody's getting like 5 minutes worth of play, but it's mostly just them wanting to wear a matching t-shirt and be out on a Thursday night with their friends and family. So the other joy that I get out of this is seeing even somebody that is just getting away from it all for a few hours, you know?
Yeah.
Just an escape, just a release, and that just might be what they need that week, you know, during the week just to function the rest of the week.
It's an hour or two of just getting their brain cleared out or getting their headspace cleared.
Yeah.
And that's invaluable just as much as making new connections.
Yeah.
So last question is just a fun one. What's a sport you've always dreamed of doing, like adding to your league? But
I would love to figure out, it's very specific, mobile pickleball. So which is
huge, by the way. Pickleball
is huge. And I could go to the place at Smash Point in Mechanicsburg and talk to them about running a league for them. That's where they're almost just buying a product off me.
Right.
Like a software almost, because like we have...
To run a league.
They have the infrastructure, but I'd love to go to a venue that has a nice flat parking lot and just do a pop-up.
They have the area for it, but they don't have they don't want to, and they don't want to put permanent nets up or permanent. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
A nicely paved flat parking lot, and take up like 8 of their spaces and just throw it up. So like I said, I can turn a league, anything into a league, but I'd love to bring back some stuff too, like grass volleyball, sand volleyball, stuff like that. So
like some things that kind of died out recently.
Died out. There's usually one option, like HYP runs a sand volleyball league in the summer,
right,
on City Island. That's the only social volleyball that's around. So why not, rent? But then I got to rent the park and there's some stuff that
do mobile sand volleyball. No,
yeah,
just scoop the sand up every day. No, I mean that's interesting. It's cool how you were mentioning pickleball. I feel like everywhere you go is pickleball too.
Yeah.
So that's a huge. Yeah. What they say, it's like it's the fastest growing recreational sport, and you notice it that like it's just like cornhole. Like almost every age group can play it.
Yes.
Yeah. If you have
the rules are a little nuancy, but
I tried reading them. I couldn't grasp them all.
But at the same time, I feel like if we dived into that, we might be able to have some success.
Yeah, awesome. Any other parting things before we kind of wrap up?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to sit here and tell my story.
Well, it's a good time too because you have leagues that you can sign up for now before the fall. So if anyone is listening here between now and fall, it's a good time to go on your website. We'll put the link for Penn Social Sports and your social pages on the show description.
And like I said before, with the corporate aspect, like it's good, better, best, right?
Yeah.
So the good version is, hey, D&H Distributing, the number one employer. I'm not looking for money from you, but if you want to put together a few teams of coworkers, So like that's an avenue where we're really trying to go down right now. Where
do you do? Because a lot of that sounds like it's evening stuff too.
Yeah.
Do you do during the day? Like,
no, we have some irons in the fire.
Okay.
To do like maybe some corporate team building stuff.
That's what I was thinking.
Literally today, my buddies that all work at Progressive in Mechanicsburg borrowed my boards and bags for, I guess, their day.
Yeah.
So if there's a way for me to monetize that, where I bring in more stuff for them.
I was just thinking, like, even our group, the Verbo Dental group has we're leading that media, but parent Verb Rental Group would do like a team building
field day.
There's a big opportunity for that with.
We're getting into the rental space too.
Okay.
So like Messiah University, they're renting our boards and bags for homecoming.
Oh.
So I'm going to be approaching some other smaller schools that might be interested in doing that.
And you have branded boards, right?
What?
You got to brand your boards, yeah.
Our brand's all over the board.
Good. Yeah, I mean that's a huge opportunity too. I had to ask on the this is my last question for you, just to see if you had other things in the fire.
Those
Sounds
are the
like
irons in the fire: rental, corporate events.
Good.
Are the two big ones.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
All right.
I'm glad Tyler gave us a lead on you there. So cool. All right. Well, you guys can visit his website and hopefully you get some new signups too for your leagues.
Thank you.